Welcome back to Three Skulls Tavern. I'm Matt, your GM, and I'm joined by these four lovely people. Just make sure I'm pointing in the right direction. Over here. Yeah, we'll introduce in a second. This is the prologue, so this is the start of our campaign prior to session 1. We're calling it a prologue because we're recording this on the same night as the session 0. We have a little bit of extra time, so we thought we'd do a quick prologue before we jump into the campaign proper. Yeah, and as we teased in session 0, we didn't really talk about how Eric's character, Arlek, met the others. That's because they're going to meet in the prologue now. Apologies in advance that this isn't going to be super polished from my end. This is low prep GMing at its best or possibly worst. We'll see. Yeah. We're just going to roll with it. So if you haven't, just a quick little intro. If you haven't watched our session 0, basically we're talking about what this channel is all about, talking about each of us have done a little introduction of ourselves, talked about the social contract for this campaign, introduced Forbidden Lands as a game and its setting, and then also introduced the player characters. So if you haven't watched that yet, then head over. There's a playlist attached to this, which you might be looking at it through. I don't know, but look up that other episode. We'll put a link in the description as well, so you can find it. So not the four of you. The 3 of you that are visible on the screen at the bottom. So that's Kark, Key. Is it Key or Kai?
Key.
Kark, Key, and Lyria have all been traveling from wherever they started. It might put that over to you on where you started, but basically you're traveling from the south to the north. You're traveling in a northwards direction, I guess is how you would phrase that. And I'm gonna put a map up on the screen here to show where you are now. Make sure I remove the correct thing. There we go. Pretty much if you threw a dart at the middle of this map, that's where it would land. Right smack dab. I didn't do that deliberately, it just kind of fits in with everything I wanted to do. So you're pretty much in the middle of this map, on the outskirts of quite a large forest, skirting around the forest. I'd like to think that you were traveling along the edge of the forest because it's just easier to find food and forage for things and stuff inside of a forest. And also, Kark and Key, you're both quite at home in forests, right? So anyway, you're heading north, and we'll say it's getting to around dusk, and not quite there yet. And you can see smoke. You can see how the tree line kind of bends around to the left up ahead. Kind of hidden by the trees, which is why you haven't seen it earlier. But you can now start to see kind of to your left along the line of trees. You can see some smoke kind of drifting in the distance. What do you do?
Wow.
And by the way, you do know as players that if you decide not to investigate this smoke, you're really going to mess up my campaign here, because I'm going to have to think of another way for you to get introduced to your 4th fellow player. Not that I'm railroading anything right now.
No, of course not.
Choo. Choo, all aboard.
I already played along nicely once already.
Okay, here it starts already. God.
Well, I guess Key will probably be in the front, and I'm more than happy to investigate the potential campfire. I'm always keen to find new people, find out who's doing what with where and who, and any kind of rumors about local areas, that kind of thing. So I'm very keen to chat and meet other people who happen to be around, but I'll be kind of cautious.
Oh, you do remember what happened last time we came upon a campfire? That did not turn out well for us or them.
It's true. But It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
You said that last time as well.
One day it'll be fine.
The law of averages. Eventually something must go right.
Well, I'll look at Lyria for advice and guidance. I kind of am happy to kind of follow her.
I'm curious.
Who's playing the goat? Please don't say me.
That never even occurred to me.
So what I would like to do is, as you see this smoke, why don't each of you give us a little vignette of what you're doing as you're hiking? Tell us a little about like what you're wearing, what you're doing, and that way we get a little bit of a visual of your characters. Bearing in mind you've been hiking the full, like, for the whole day. You had set camp further to the south, one or two hexes on the map, and yeah, you've been hiking the whole day. Presumably heading north towards your legends.
Okay, well, I guess Key is probably about, I'm going to give a bit of a description. Key's probably about 5'7", 5'8", not particularly tall. Matty sort of black hair, wears a lot of green and browns just to kind of blend in with the surroundings. He is usually quite carefree when he's wandering, but quite sharp-eyed, so he'll take time to kind of look around him. He's quite at home where he is, so he's sure-footed, and he'll happily just traipse along, quite happy to kind of be slightly ahead of the others. Try not to sort of spook any kind of wildlife or anything like that, and just in case we happen to be doing any hunting. But I'm quite happy to kind of just wander ahead. At this point, I guess I would have been stopped to have a conversation with Kark and Lyria. Lyria, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what goblins are supposed to look like very much in this setting.
It's
They're very undefined.
Pretty standard goblin fare, I think we'll go with. Unless you want to
small, green, warty.
So Forbidden Lands is based on classic fantasy art by Niels Gullikson, I think is the name. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds right.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's done fantasy art for role-playing games starting back in the 80s in Sweden.
Take a look at that art.
This game is kind of like a homage to his artwork, and the art of the goblins, for example, is just looking at what I would consider typical fantasy goblins. The uniqueness comes with how they've been, how their culture has been adapted for the setting. So from what I see, I mean, this black and white line drawing, so it's hard to say like whether they have green skin or gray skin or whatever, but they do certainly look like what you would consider to be sort of standard goblins. Halfling sized, so like half the height of human.
Stringy.
Small, not necessarily stringy. Quite a lot of them have like pot bellies, but but yeah, typical goblin. Small if you're smallish.
If you're doing well at being a goblin. Okay, so Kark being a typical looking goblin then is small with a distinctively olivey mottled into a sort of greenish ochre coloration, which I am particularly pleased with. Other goblins are very uniform, and I'm special. And I'm wearing heavily patched canvas trousers, patched with odds and ends of whatever I've had around, like some leftover deer skin and just bits and pieces that I've found, euphemistically found, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And probably some kind of shaggy, tattered cloak. And I think he tends to go like first,
Mhm.
and he's got long legs, and he stomps down the tall grass, and I trail behind, and I like smelling the wind, looking at stuff. Oh, look, there's a pond. Things like that. Just paying attention, but not necessarily focused far ahead.
What about Nanny, your nanny goat?
Nanny follows behind me on a little rope.
Okay. So you're not riding Nanny?
Not all the time.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I mean, if I were
Treat her
riding
well.
Nanny, I'd be much faster than everybody.
Okay.
Which sometimes is helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Goats are nippy when they want to be.
And you've got what kind of weapons? Not that you're necessarily going to need them.
Well, I'm armed with a hand axe, which I think is probably a very practical version of a hand axe, and not decorative or light.
By hand
I think-
axe in this game, it just means like a standard one-handed
Yeah.
axe, not like a
It's-
hatchet or something small.
Yeah, I think it's probably owes more to wood cutting than it does to
Yeah,
being
sure.
some kind of
Yep.
some.
Think of it like a
some kind of
like a
weapon.
long-handled standard axe. It's not like a war axe or anything like that.
Yeah.
There is something called the battle axe, which is also a one-handed axe, but yeah.
Of course.
Yep.
At any rate, I also have a smallish crossbow.
Okay.
Um.
Strung on your back or something? Like slung over your shoulder?
Yeah, I
or
think it probably. I imagine I've probably at some point tied a cord to the stock of it, and I can sort of loop it over my shoulder or something.
something? Okay. All right. And Lyria.
Well, so yeah, as we're wandering down, I'd be taking up the rear of the party, letting the other two go forward. Being a half elf, I am not as slight as my elven ancestors, but not as stunted and dumpy as my human side.
I see how this is. Okay. All right.
Yeah, my when you look at me, like my features are fine. My ears are pointed. I would be walking on the path with like just a standard traveling cloak, pants, shirt, nothing, not decked out for war. So that would get kind of uncomfortable on the road, hot and sweaty, kind of gross. I'd have my reddish blonde hair tied back into a ponytail to keep it on my face while we're doing our thing. Yeah, and I guess at this point, we would be starting to get stopped and sorting out the campfire that we smell, or the fire that is giving off smoke.
It's definitely that sort of time of day, right? The time of day when you would start thinking about. I said dusk. It's probably maybe like an hour away from dusk, so that's the sun is kind of near the horizon.
Yeah, so something we should start thinking about
Yeah.
as well, getting our camp set up.
What about your so you've got armor, right?
Yes.
What when you're traveling, what are you doing with your helmet, which is what I'm kind of curious about.
I would have that slung on a belt or something, hooked onto
Okay.
a bag or a sling bag that I got everything else packed into.
Mhm.
Kind of awkward to wear.
Just trying to look at what the what it looks like in the book, because it's called a closed helmet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so closed helmet in this case is it has like a nose guard, and it looks like it has something for your neck as well, or as an an open helmet is literally just like a cap that sits on top.
Right.
Okay, so you think of like Viking or like Dark Ages helmets, which is like a metal cap pointed a
Yeah.
little bit with a nose guard and
Like a flared rim on the back.
sure. Yep. No, I was just wondering what it meant exactly by closed helmet in this context, but it's pretty standard, I think.
Yeah.
When I think of my 1980s Lego, since we just mentioned Lego, they all had those. Anyway, yeah. Okay. Okay, cool.
Okay.
You haven't got any mount. So the only animal that's traveling with you is goat, which is kind of in the middle, trailing behind Kark. Okay. You see
What
the smoke up
time
ahead
of
in the
year is
distance? Oh, that's a really good
You
good
mentioned
point.
that the time of the year
We're
and
gonna-
the
we're
weather
gonna-
I
can
was
be
going to
important.
ask.
We're gonna pause the campaign for just a second, because it's something I wanted to do in our session 0, but we kind of wanted to.
Well,
leave it
now
here.
is as
Yeah, and that's basically
Yeah.
we're gonna roll for when it is. I've created tables for this as well. So first is, and we'll use the Discord bot here. Will one of you decide between yourselves? So we're gonna be making 3 rolls in total. First one is to determine the month or the phase, as it's called, that we're gonna be starting in. There are 4 of them. Sorry, they're not 4. They're 8 phases, 8 months.
We're all waiting to see who's going to roll. Oh.
You're all the active party, so
Yeah. That's true.
Go on then, Ed. So you just type in !roll D66.
There you go.
31. It is Spring Wane. Spring Wane meaning it's the tail end of spring, so coming up to summer. That's
Nice.
that's quite
that's a
good.
good time to be out.
It is.
fortuitous.
The next person to roll, please. Roll a D6.
I'll do that.
Okay. This is going to be which week of the month we're starting in.
Rolf.
So the 4th week of the month. And then finally, I guess we'll have Harry or Eric, one of the two of you. I don't mind.
I'll do it if I can see my damned keyboard.
A D8 this time, please. A 6. Okay. Feast day. Feast day is basically Friday. Okay. So we're in the 4th week of Spring Wane on Feast Day. I'm just going to bring up there's an excellent little PDF called Raven's Reckoning, which is freely available on DriveThruRPG, which is a fan product that someone's made with all sorts of calendars and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
So that I'll just give you the day of the month as well, because
A
I'm
lot
going
of
to
fan
start tracking
products
this
for
in
this
like a campaign journal. So Spring Wane 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and then Friday. So we're the 28th of Spring Wane.
Cool.
All right. Cool. All right. So that's where we are. It's end of spring, which is really quite nice for you that you didn't roll it being in the wintertime. So yeah. Well done, Ed, on a good roll.
It certainly makes sense that we'd actually be out.
Yep.
So
Okay.
yeah, it's pleasant. That means I'll just say for ease of things right now, there's some clouds in the sky, but it's not completely overcast. It's been a pleasant day, and no reason to suspect any rain or whatever in terms of like finding camp and stuff. But you can see the smoke up ahead, not too far in the distance.
Well, I have no problem with wandering ahead to see who, what, where is the smoke coming from. And I'll happily kind of bound on a little bit ahead of the other two so that I'm just on my own.
Sure.
But not too far away that I can't call for help.
Okay. I'm not going to ask for a roll. This will be fairly easy to see. Are you actually using stealth right now? Are you trying to be stealthy?
I'm trying to be quiet, but I don't possess stealth, so I'm just
You
gonna...
can still. I mean, if you're trying to be stealthy, then why don't you give me a stealth roll then?
Okay.
So it's gonna be roll F.
Yep.
However many dice with a B for base dice,
Yep.
and you haven't
I'm
got
just
any
li-
stealth.
I was just looking at that.
Do you want to?
I'm not going to push that. No.
Oh god.
No.
Yeah, this is something we need to talk about as well with pushing when we get to it. You can't push every roll. You can only push rolls where the stakes are not where the stakes are high, but where basically it would make sense. How do I put this? Yeah. If it's things like you're foraging for food or you're setting camp, you're not going to be able to push those sorts of rolls. Most cases with like stealth and stuff, you're not like aware that there's anyone looking kind of looking for you or anything. You're just kind of sneaking a bit through the trees just to kind of see what's going on. Unless you would, I mean, if you really wanted to push it, you can make a case for it, and then maybe we can do it. But in this case,
So is pushing something that you do if it's something that you could try putting extra effort into?
Yeah, exactly.
But
When
if you
you're
don't
being
know
active,
that you're,
I would say.
yeah, if you don't know it's something that you could just really put some extra effort into, then it's not really possible.
I kind of figure if the stakes are high enough, then push the roll. But maybe if I was sneaking up onto a bunch of,
if you knew that there was like, I don't know, a bunch of enemies up ahead or something, then it might be able to make sense. But in this case, there's no necessarily any reason. Anyway, with pushing, because we haven't really talked about it before, this is a great roll to talk quickly about it. There are 2 skulls, which are 1s that were rolled in this roll. Now, because Ed isn't re-rolling, he isn't pushing this roll, nothing happens. He failed this roll. He's not particularly stealthy in his approach. If he was able to, and if he did push this roll, he would have to keep those 2 skull dice, because they have symbols on them, and he would re-roll the 2 3s. And again, he still needs just 1 6, but he's only got 2 dice now to try and get a 6 from. And because he's pushed it, everything that comes up with a symbol then starts to take effect. And in this case, he would be guaranteed at least 2 damage to his wits, because this is a wits roll, by pushing this roll. On the flip side, this is how you also get willpower points. So if he was to push this, he would be guaranteed at least 2 willpower points as well, but he would take 2 points of damage to his wits.
Did you want to?
How long term would the damage be?
You recover your damage when you sleep, and it depends on which type of damage, depending on how quickly it recovers. But generally speaking, it recovers fairly quickly.
That would damage my agility, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because he's trying to stealth.
Oh, agility.
nuts.
Apologies, not wits. Agility. Yes. Sorry. Yep. Okay. So, you get a bit closer. You can see that it's not a particularly big fire that's making the fire, but you're also able to smell something a little bit off in the air. There's a slight breeze. We'll say it's coming from that direction. And it's the smell of shit. And there's a slightly metallic kind of flavor, smell.
I guess I'll string an arrow to my bow.
Yeah.
Flavor.
You can also see, there's still some trees in the way. You can't really get a good glimpse of whatever is up ahead. But you're starting to be able to see that it looks like there's like rolling plains. If you imagine you're walking north, and along your left, along the kind of west side of you is this forest. And straight ahead of you and to your right, towards the east, is a massive rolling plain. But the grass is very high. Like I'm pointing like head height. It's not that high, but it's certainly like knee height grass, right?
Enough to kind
Head
of
height
crouch.
for me, you fucker.
Yeah, for a goblin, it's reasonably.
Head height.
It's about like about this high. I didn't think
It's
about
difficult for people to imagine grass that hasn't been cut with a lawnmower.
that. Yeah. And that makes things like if you're looking for tracks and things, it's kind of hard to see them unless you're on a hill or you've got some sort of elevation or you've come across them yourself. But you can see that it looks like ahead of you and kind of heading off to your right, away from the forest, that the grass has been pushed down a little ways ahead, like something big has moved through. Almost like coming perpendicular to you, like from the east towards the west or west towards east, like that, in that direction, cutting across you. And the smoke again is ahead of you to your left near the line of the forest.
I will crouch down in the long grass and wait for the other two to catch me up.
Okay. Are either of the two of you trying to be stealthy?
It probably wouldn't occur to me till I noticed something was up.
Okay.
Well, was Key overly stealthy in his movements into the bush? Then no,
he technically rolled stealth, but kind of from the way he's
slowed down,
narrating,
I guess.
It's just kind of like he's just scouting ahead a little bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't put any effort into hiding.
Yeah. Okay. You see him then crouched with his bow, with an arrow knocked in his bow, and the smell. It's kind of right at that point that the similar smell hits you as well.
The hell is that?
It's faint.
That's something.
It's not like really strong, but yeah.
It smells like somebody shat their guts out.
Fucking smells like an alderlander out here. What the hell?
Ooh, boy, oh boy. X card.
I almost did that, but I didn't want to.
It smells like blood.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He shat their guts out. You're familiar with the concept of the bloody flux, I assume.
It smells like death.
Jesus,
Blood,
how many
awful.
people have shot themselves to death near you?
I've got stories. We're not going to get into it right now, but I've got stories.
I hate your village already.
I'm going to go check ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'll continue with my
With your
great
with
stealthiness.
Your current stealth roll, we don't re-roll.
Yep. And just try and step quietly and as smoothly as I can through the long grass.
I think with that roll as well, where 3 was your highest dice, it's fair to say that you realize that you're not going particularly stealthily.
Probably because the grass is difficult to kind of be stealthy through because it's all.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. It's the grass.
You're also near the tree line, right? So there's maybe where the
tree line of the grass plains meet.
The plains. So I was looking for the word plains. I was thinking prairie, and then anyway, where the plains meets the forest, it's kind of like the long grass is getting gradually lower, but it's still hiding some branches that have fallen and stuff like that. So every now and again you're stepping on branches and stuff and making a little bit too much noise. And yeah, basically you creep a little bit more forward and you see basically get to a point where you can the trees open up a little, and what you see is a human with his back to you, sat at a campfire with a donkey tied to a tree, kind of on the other side of the fire from you. It's a smallish campfire, but big enough that you were able to see a smoke from a short distance away. But what you also notice is that there is the remnants of a caravan. So we're talking wagons, etc., people, but not a lot of people. But basically that has been attacked. And the smell that you were smelling, you realize, is from some dead bodies. They don't smell like carrion yet. They've clearly freshly killed. But one thing that people do when they die is they shit themselves. And that's what you guess the smell is. Entrails. You can see the one body. There's like entrails spilling onto the floor. not particularly close to where this person is sitting by the campfire, maybe off to the side a little bit, and you can see that the caravan passing through has flattened the grass, which is what you saw earlier.
Is the human the only survivor that I can see?
That you can see, yes. We'll say, give me a D3 roll, or just roll D6, and we'll have it. That's the number of corpses you can see from where you are. Okay, so you can just see the one corpse, which is, we'll say that one has been disemboweled.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Arlek. Well, we know it's you.
Yeah.
Why don't you give me a scouting roll? You just need a single success to be able to tell me if you heard this stealthy scout creeping up on you. And you won't be able to push this either, I don't think.
There's the single success.
Single success. So you've heard someone creeping up behind you.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah, so I mean, just to take a moment, like I imagine what Arlec's been doing is a couple of the wagons were just completely ruined in what had happened, and he's kind of taking wood off them and using that for fuel for the fire. So he has some broken apart wagon around him, and Arlec's he's young, he's visibly, but he's sort of he's a bigger man. He's a strapping young lad, and dark hair, and he's tending the fire, and he keeps looking over at the donkey. And he's saying, "Greta, stop eating so much. You're going to get fat. Like we've talked about this before." And he's stoking the fire, and then perhaps he hears the grass rustling behind him, and he's like, Greta, quiet. He stands up and looks around and says, "Who's there?" He's sort of looking through the grass.
In Key's direction, yeah.
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 Key's going to stand up. I've got my my bow is strong with the arrow, but I'm not pointing at anyone.
Yeah.
Hi, friend. You okay?
Yeah. And so, like, I don't reach for any weapons or anything. I might like raise a hand a little.
Mm-hmm.
And Arlec's not visibly armed in any way. And he sort of raises a hand and puts a calming his other hand on Greta, on the donkey's muzzle, and he answers, "It's all gone to shit. Look, you can see."
Key looks left and right to make sure there's no one else around, and then I'll step out of the woods or further into the clearing towards Arlek.
Just very quickly, are Kark and Lyria staying back? Are you going to step out as well?
Upon seeing Key start to move forward into the opening, I'll start to come up behind him.
What about Kark?
I'm gonna lurk.
All right.
Lurk in the grass.
All right. So Arlek
Although
sees.
I've got a sneaky feeling that the goat is gonna give me away. And it's not the stealthiest of creatures.
At the moment, there's plenty to munch on, so the goat's just gonna be happy chewing on grass and bits. Arlek, you notice Lyria also come out of the tree line then.
Yeah, and Arlek would kind of look to her, but then look back to Key and squint his eyes a little, as if he thinks maybe he recognizes him from somewhere, but he's not sure. And so I'll say, best keep your best keep the bow where it is with the arrow knocked, because the things that did this, they might be back.
Not to alarm you, there's a few of us.
It's all right. It's all right. Come on.
We mentioned
harm to you
very,
here.
very, very briefly, Eric, an idea of what had happened. I didn't really talk more with you about it, but I've expanded on it a little bit. But it's still that core idea.
Okay. No, come on. I mean, might as well enjoy the fire.
Okay, this
That's all
best not
that's
be a
left here.
trap.
If it's a trap, I'm part of it. Unwittingly.
Key will step forward. I'll take my hand off my bow and raise it towards Arlek to shake his hand.
Yeah. Good to see you. And your friends?
I'm Sawaki. This is my
Sawaki.
friends Lyria, and Kark is somewhere over there.
Yeah, and so I sort of look over your shoulder, kind of where you're indicating.
Which is into the brush.
And shaking your hand. Good firm handshake. Name's Arlek. This is Greta over here.
Both of you are kind of... The names are triggering something.
Yeah.
I'll leave it up to you to roleplay it out, but effectively you have known each other as when you were kids.
Presumably, Arlek was younger than me at that time.
Yeah, because he's young. So he would have been a young herder, which is when would have been, I guess, just before the blood mist lifted. So you would have stopped going out into the blood mist, having no longer being a child. But you probably haven't seen him for a while. I would say for maybe since the blood mist lifted, so like for 5 years. So, yeah. Anyway.
Arlek, do I know you from somewhere?
You maybe. Where are you
You
from?
look familiar. I'm from the village of Riverwood.
Riverwood. I've been to Riverwood. I was pretty small at the time, but we would stop in there from time to time with the herds. Trade
Of course,
out.
little Arlek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Didn't they put you in the bog?
Well, I'll be.
They put you in the bog.
Yeah. I'll kind of like give you a hug and a slap on the back.
Us. Good to see a familiar face. I thought you looked familiar, and I couldn't believe it. It's been one day, I tell you. And I ran off chasing down Greta when the shit all started to go down, and bring her back. Everyone's dead, gone. I don't know.
Kark, you can come out. It's fine. I know him. Lyria, this is Arlek. We're from the same village.
Oh, look,
Pleased to
another
meet you, man.
Longshanks.
Lyria, I couldn't quite hear you. I think you're muted.
I'd say nice to meet you, and then I would turn to Key and see. I told you, both deaf and an Alderlander.
How did you know?
Well,
He's got round ears, of course he's deaf.
I'm sorry to hear what happened to your companions.
Well, I didn't know them too well, but
Oh, they're what will divide life and death out here sometimes.
familiar enough. Yeah. Well, I don't know now, but it's gonna be dark soon, so figure we need a fire.
What happened here?
Yeah. Well, thing is, we were traveling along, heading north, had our things to trade, had a plan,
Mm-hmm.
And then there was the calls and the horns, some drums. Then there were arrows. Greta got a start. She started off into the woods. She had all my stuff on her, so I chased down after Greta. I caught sight of a couple of creatures, the lizard folk, and live in the marshes. We didn't expect them around here. Not so close to the woods, so far from the river, but there they were. I finally caught up with Greta, but the time I got back, it had gone quiet. And here I am.
So one thing that Arlik will know about the Saurians is that they do a lot of trade with other kin, but always on the outskirts of the marshes. And anyone who trades with them knows that they don't allow strangers into the marsh. If you set foot within the marsh, then they will. You're fair game. It's very unusual to have Saurians out like killing people, hunting people. Like it's certainly not something you hear of very often. They're usually keeping themselves within the marsh, and then people know them by trading with them. In fact, you may have seen them in your travels, having traded with them in the past. Anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, it was day could have gone better.
How many of you were there?
Not many. After the last stop, maybe half dozen of us. And you see old Oleg over there. He had a rough time of it. The others, I don't know if they took him, killed him, brought him somewhere else.
Oh.
But here we are.
Did you were you particularly close with any of them?
To Oleg, nah, he was a bit of a drunk, and he could be a little rough with the newcomers, and I only joined on with this group, into the winter. So
okay. Well,
where are you guys headed to?
We're just out having a bit of a wander. Probably northeast, I would probably say. Maybe northish. Well, we thought we'd see what we could find.
And Arlik would look over the northeast and be like, yeah, all right, there are worse directions.
Yeah, there's only 16 to choose from.
Yeah. Yeah, I like you.
I'm gonna take like a slow circle around this sort of like the clearing where all the grass has been stomped down, and I'd like to count the number of corpses.
Okay, give me a scouting roll, please.
Okay.
And just so
hang the hell on.
they're not going to be able to push
what's
this
going on.
either. This is basically just to tell me
Yeah.
how much you discover.
Okay, I got wits 3 and I got scouting 2.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see.
So that's
Roll
3
F.
base and 2
So
skill. So exactly what
3
Eric just rolled.
base, 2 skill.
Okay, cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's about even.
So you don't find any more bodies, but you do find tracks leading off towards the north, following the tree line off to the north. You also, with the success, you also notice that there is some blood. Looks to you like human blood.
What's it taste like?
Like blood. I'm only
Tastes
saying
like
it looks
human
like
blood?
human blood because I haven't really decided whether Saurian blood looks or tastes different to human blood. It's certainly, if you've ever tasted human blood before, this could be human blood.
No way to tell, yeah, I suppose.
Not a huge amount of it or anything like that. Not like, like a dead body volume of blood. More like an injury that has been dripping. But yeah, the caravan's damaged, as I said before, and obviously Arlik has been chopping some of it up to make some firewood. And yeah, Otherwise, you don't see anyone else. Some of
Because-
the goods are kind of strewn around and kind of smashed up. So it looks like the Saurians weren't that interested in the cargo, but were probably more interested in the people.
What is the cargo?
Arlek can tell you.
Round ears.
It is the cargo. I think we probably had some animals with us. Maybe some sheep. So maybe they're just gone. Maybe the Saurians took them. I don't know how we want to play that. Other things that I don't know.
I mean,
What
you'd have
else were we
you'd have
bringing?
like
I'd say
survival equipment for like a caravan, right? There'd be tents.
absolutely,
and,
yeah,
and pots and pans and
yeah. I feel like we had some tools.
yeah, stuff that villages would need that you might come across that you could trade
Exactly.
for. Right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't really want to. I don't want to give you a ton of stuff right at the start, like
Right.
pots and pans and stuff to carry around with you. But we can say that there's that sort of stuff is scattered around.
Sorry.
Most of it's been damaged. It very much looks like it's been deliberately damaged. Like you can see the big tent that was often pitched has been like ripped up. The cloth has been like torn. So someone has come through here. They've smashed the wagon. They've scattered all the stuff around, and kind of done a good job of smashing it up.
Yeah. I think we had like a couple barrels of like really good beer, and it's just all over the ground.
Oh yeah, that's smashed
It's
open.
horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not horrible. It's delicious mud. And I am not going to attempt to salvage any bits and pieces of pots and pans because although iron and pewter and such like are valuable, we're out in the bloody wilderness with no idea where we're going. So there's no point in me scavenging anything that I'm just going to have to carry for God knows how long.
This isn't Skyrim.
I know. Where eating cheese will heal you of all wounds.
Where everything that you can loot you take because that's what the game's about, right?
Why not?
And that's what we're all here for.
So mechanically, you have limited amounts that you can carry, and
I'm guessing I
thinking
can't
about it,
carry
you're
a
out
lot.
here traveling to like check out these legends and things, not to collect pots and pans and that sort of thing. So
Absolutely.
but
If
I
there's
guess
any salvageable rope, I would totally. Put
yeah,
it
I guess
on,
that's
Greta, though.
the thing. Like if any of you want anything, then and it's
I mean, how are we
reasonable,
doing
then
for
I'm-
tents and such like? You mentioned there's tents. If we don't have
There's a
tents,
tent. There's a tent that the caravan would have used, which has been all torn up. So somebody would
Yeah.
need to patch it and sew it together.
I have a
Um,
2-man tent, which is in good working order.
well, there's 3 of us. About to be 4.
So mechanically, like a large tent which can sleep 4 people, which is basically what this was. Because none of you have the tailor talent, which is what allows you to be like particularly good with needle and thread. If you want to try and salvage the tent, I'll let you, but it's not going to give you the same sort of bonuses that a large tent would do. It's basically going to be narratively
Stops rain from hitting-
stopping
getting
rain
on us.
from getting on your heads. And probably not all the rain, because it's going to be patched together a bit ramshackly. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's just
certainly rope.
extra
If you want,
weight,
if you
really.
want to add anything to your character sheet, rope I guess would be like a light item. You can have like, I don't know, you can probably salvage like a 5-meter length of it.
Okay, I put it on.
Like,
Put it on
kind of-
Greta.
Put it on- Yeah, I don't have to worry about encumbrance. I've got a donkey.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
I forgot.
unfortunate that we come across all this at this time of day. Like the sun is getting low in the sky, and I'm not sure about you, but I don't want to be sleeping near a whole bunch of corpses.
No,
Why?
we should.
So
Oh, it's just one.
Well,
It's just a one corpse.
It's just one corpse.
We'll attract
Ah,
animals.
still a dead body that's going to start rotting. Whether it's 1 or 5,
It's not going to start
Still
running
fucking
for a couple of
stinks.
days.
it already smells.
So do you.
Says
I can,
you,
Look,
wallowing
I'm
in
the one
mud
at
and
ass
dirt.
height. I know who smells.
We can,
any of you have a shovel or something? We can bury poor Oleg. We
Uh,
have a fire here already.
just real quick, let me check something. I'm gonna rifle Oleg's pockets, etc.
Okay, we have a table for that. We have a table.
Has he
for
got any biscuits on him?
that. Yeah, get your dice rolling ready. Okay, simple carried finds. Okay, give me a D66 roll, please.
Hell yeah.
Oh my! Of course you got to roll above 60.
Wow, cool. Well, if you don't want that, let's re-roll.
No,
What's old Oleg carrying?
A bronze
he's got-
mirror
Oh,
Hey, look at
I
this.
knew he was holding out on us.
of weight
Rat
3.
bastard.
So not just,
Jesus.
not just heavy, but big. That doesn't make much sense, right? He's lying
That doesn't
there
make a
dead
damn bit of sense.
with a
Fuck that.
huge mirror. Roll.
No.
Give me another roll.
maybe it's a hand.
No, wait.
mirror.
I'll flip it. I'll flip it to a 26. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the wrong table. I was looking at simple finds in a layer. I was like, how's that something simple you can find? So you find a 62. You find a gemstone, a simple gemstone, tiny, which means it doesn't take up any encumbrance.
Oleg.
Hiding in like one of the lining of his clothes.
Nice.
So you get a gemstone.
Yeah.
Do we know you found that?
Straight in the pocket.
Do we see you with a stone?
I have no idea. I don't have sleight of hand, and I guess I didn't try and conceal it particularly.
You probably like found it and like pulled it up and held it up like, what is this, like a
Hey,
piece of,
check
like,
this
a
out.
coin or something?
Don't eat it. Don't put it in your mouth.
Well, I'll be damned.
Don't make me.
Oleg, you old son of a bitch.
now this feral goblin has it.
And,
Out
I
of the
like it.
frying
It's
pan.
shiny.
and Cart can have it.
Yeah.
I tried taking something off him once. Never doing that again.
You still have 10 fingers. What are you complaining about?
Just about.
Okay. So, do you want to do anything else?
I think we can take some firewood and probably go a little bit away from here. After we help bury Oleg.
Yeah, there's definitely like
We.
a shovel that's been snapped, like the handle's been snapped in half, but
Me.
with a bit of effort, you can crouch over and use it still like a normal shovel, or replace
Yeah.
the haft. I mean, these are simple.
Yeah. The
you know.
craft skill is dependent on the strength.
Yeah, but like using a shovel back in like fantasy settings and stuff, it's fairly easy to take like the handle out and put a new one in. It's not
That's
like
true.
there's not
It's not much of a
screwdriver or
craft.
anything like that. So you
Wait,
you
what?
can find some wood. You're next to a forest theoretically. You've got hand axes, so just with a bit of, if we say like one of you, I guess, can take the rest of the evening while everyone else is setting up camp to fashion a shovel and dig a grave. That could be work.
Yeah,
for
I
one
mean, I
person.
have crafting skills, so I figure I would do it.
Sure.
Oleg can do that.
And I guess it kind of makes sense for you to bury your
Yeah.
Ex-co-worker.
ex-employee,
Yeah.
well, whatever. Yeah, coworker is a better word.
Yeah. I'm just imagining
Um,
like somebody I've worked in a call center with for 3 months and imagining like giving any amount of a shit about them.
He wasn't buried when he got here, so.
And he won't be when I'm gone.
Okay.
Now everyone's around, I feel socially obligated.
So what
I
is?
mean, we can always
Don't
You always
stand on
save the effort
ceremony on
and
my
just-
account.
burn them.
You want to set
That
all
wasn't
this
in
grass on
character, by
fire?
the way. In character, he's digging the hole.
Okay. All right. So we're looking at journeying rules now, very quickly, and what is it that everyone else wants to do? So somebody has to make camp.
I want to go make a fire. Let's go make a little fire, a little bit upwind,
Okay.
and clear
So
the grass.
you
and
can help. That can be helping making camp. So one of you basically rolls to make camp, which is a survival roll.
Cark, you roll to make camp.
Yeah.
I'll keep an eye out just to make sure no one sneaks up on us.
Okay. First, most important thing is the fire. Right. Okay. So let's see. I guess that's a survival roll.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's
Ed, do you not? Does either he or Lyria want to help make camp?
Yeah, I can help.
okay. How does helping work?
She adds a skill dice to your roll. So just add however many you needed. Oh
Crap.
wow. Okay.
Pump the gun.
And again, you can't push this one. So, not that you need to with 2 successes. So, okay, good. So that's what the two of you are doing.
Oh, well, we'll
Ed,
just leave it.
you're kind of keeping watch.
Keeping
Not
watch. Yep.
really- Okay. I think for keeping watch, you don't really need to.
It's a scouting role if you want.
If I need something to happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Which in this instance, I'm not going to have anything happen.
Mhm.
Okay, so it passes into night, and the grave is buried. The grave is dug. Arlick, are you gonna have like a little ceremony? Or are you just gonna dump him in?
No, we're gonna toss him in there
Okay.
and take it and fill it in.
Okay. So you do that. You toss
Alas,
him.
poor Oleg, we hardly knew you.
Maybe Lyria would like to say a few words.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Just be like, sorry, you poor bastard.
Yeah,
Toss him in.
you are worm food now, dude.
Okay. And you have a camp.
Yep.
Makeshift camp for the night. I guess Ed, you're using your tent since
Yep.
it's a functional tent.
Yep.
And
And I can take the other tent, and during the evening I can just kind of try and repair it.
I think this is part of the make camp role. Is there? We talked about reusing the large tent that had been ripped up and kind of just doing a ramshackle job of making some sort of like cloth shelter out of it for everyone. And that's fine. You do that. In fact, just as you're finishing it, it starts to rain very lightly. Nothing heavy, just like a light gentle rain. Yeah. And I think we're gonna stop it there.
Okay.
We're about an hour in, and we just wanted this to be a prologue. We didn't want it to have too much happen. Let's just give a little example of the dice rolling, introduce Arlick to the rest. There's a little bit of a plot hook there if you want to pursue it. It's more or less what we wanted. So, thank you very much.
Great.
Fantastic.
I'm
Cool.
pleased.
All right. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, then you can leave comments and questions both in the comments below. If you want to reach out to us on social media, check the description for links to everything. But anyway, thanks for watching. And our next session 1, if you're not watching this too far in the future, session 1 is going to be done as a live stream. So it's going to be in a month's time from when this is being recorded. So sometime in April. In fact, I'll probably put the dates in the description. So if you check the description, there should be a kind of a time and a date for when that's going to happen. We'll also be posting it on social media. So thanks very much, and catch you next time.
Cheers.
Ciao.
Goodbye, everybody.
So long.
Bye.